afternoon. Please take your seats. We're going to get started. All right. What a beautiful day it is to be in the city of Detroit. Am I right? So I know some of you are very excited. Some of you might be a little tired from watching the Tigers beat up on the Astros a little bit. We hope that that continues and that they win the series. Am I right? Let's go. Go Tigers. All right. So what brings us here today? Today is two things. We're talking about the celebration of the Strategic Neighborhood Fund 1 and 2 and the impact that we had. I wanted to make sure that when we started this conversation off, when we bring up the mayor, that I wanted to talk and share a few numbers with you about the impact that this program has had citywide. We value the partnership with the city of Detroit, particularly the planning department, the housing revitalization department, the Don, and those who helped us meet with residents and meet them where they are to talk through what they wanted to see in their neighborhood when we started the Strategic Neighborhood Fund. That consisted of over 418 project-related meetings and events where we talked about and discussed with residents what we were trying to do in support of them in their neighborhood. They had a voice in that process, and we respected that and included that voice in the developments that took place. What followed is $83 million that went into 12 streetscapes citywide, $195 million in increased property values, $27.3 million were invested in parks, 7 completed with 4 underway, $7.4 million completed in 86 rehabbed homes, thanks to our partners with Bridging Neighborhood Program and the Rehabbed and Ready program. And then finally, this is the huge number. We have, through the Strategic Neighborhood Fund, what we raised in 1 and 2, we have leveraged a combined $262 million worth of investment for Detroit neighborhoods. All of this begins with great leadership. Great leadership from city government, great leadership from Invest Detroit, and from all of the foundations and corporate partners who were at the table in the beginning of this process to not only share their investment, but to share their voice and their impact for the residents of the city of Detroit. And for that, we'll be forever grateful. We're going to be talking about what's coming up next, the SNF 3 program, where we are looking to double down in the neighborhoods where we have been active. We know that with COVID, that kind of delayed a little bit of some of this investment, but as we move forward, we believe that the right thing to do is for us to lean into the neighborhoods where we have had the greatest impact so we can create a resilient Detroit. With that support of Mayor Mike Duggan, I'm going to call you up, sir. Thank you for your leadership and being a great partner in this public-private partnership, not only with your leadership with the departments that you lead at the city, but also in your advocacy with all of our partners to help us reach the goals that we all set out collectively. So, Mayor Mike Duggan.
Well, it was 6 years ago that we had this idea to try a neighborhood fund, which we called the Strategic Neighborhood Fund. And we got with 7 companies. And Gary Torgo, at the time, was at Chemical Bank. I think that was about 3 banks ago for Gary. And he and Dan Lepp at Blue Cross and Flagstar and Fifth Third and Huntington, American Axle, and the Penske Corporation each came in and said, we'll put in $5 million. And not only will we put in money, we'll get engaged with the neighborhood. We'll participate with them on the decision-making process. And we weren't really sure where it was going to go. But we just felt it was really important to say to this city, we were going to target these areas. And it didn't take very long before we realized that we could do what we wanted in the streetscapes, But if the corridors were going to come back, the vacant storefronts had to be reopened. Housing had to be built. And Dave Blaskowitz and Jermaine Ruff and Invest Detroit stepped in because we needed to figure out how to target that money. And with their efforts, you started to see plywood come off of buildings, people get jobs. You combine them with the streetscapes, and I would invite anybody here, particularly the media, drive up McNichols to Livernois when you go out of here. It was virtually all boarded up buildings 5 years ago. Now, not only are there storefronts open, there's a new merchants bank being built. There is new housing being built coming out of the ground. You'll see the same thing on East Warren, where Blue Cross was. You'll see the same thing on Dexter. You'll see the same thing on Grand River, in area after area. It has been one of the great partnerships. And with Invest Detroit's leadership, that $35 million grew to $75 million. And when people could visibly see the results, in just a few years, more and more came on. And today, we are now on SNF 3. And now people in the city know what to expect. They know that they have partners. And I don't think I've heard a time where the neighbors have said, other than what you used to hear over here, somebody makes a decision for me. Every one of these has been a result of a planning process with the neighborhood, targeting what the neighbors want. And so to the Gilbert Family Foundation, the Wilson Foundation, Ally Bank, and tell me the other one that's in today. I shouldn't do these from memory anymore. I'm too old. Blue Cross Blue Shield. Oh, and Invest Detroit. Sorry about that one. They're going to put me on a teleprompter before I'm done here. But when you look at this now, there is a completely different feeling of hope. And I would encourage you, if you take the time to drive up and look at the storefronts, turn down the streets. Bagley, Fitzgerald, Marygrove, places that were 25, 30, in some cases 40% vacant. We're not 100% of the way there, but we've come a long way back. We got houses selling for over $100,000 in this area where we could not have given them away. These are neighborhoods that have declined for 30, 40, 50 years. And in a space of 5 years, you're seeing these commercial corridors coming back. And we've done it as a community. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody here who's made it possible. And with that, I'm going to introduce a partner, had every step of the way, strong advocate for rebuilding our neighborhoods, Councilman Scott Benson.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. And as the mayor said, my name is Councilman Scott Benson. It is an honor and a privilege to be here, and it's an honor to celebrate this type of investment in the city of Detroit. And so when we talk about metrics of investment, let's talk about $250 million being leveraged for our neighborhoods and for our commercial corridors throughout the city of Detroit. In addition, let's talk about the new leverage when we're going to see close to $500 million leveraged and invested as a direct result of SNF 3.0. And then when we talk about that, let's look at the actual grassroots, the ground level impact. And I'm looking at some of our developers right now. I see Mr. Quincy Jones over at Osborne, who is now putting in equity and helping families achieve a dream. Well, they'll buy a duplex, it'll be rehabbed, and they get a tenant next door to help them pay that rent and help build equity and achieve that American dream and provide housing for two people when you have one homeowner and one renter. So we're bringing our neighborhoods back, and that's a direct result of investments of this program. And so thank you, Quincy Jones, and looking at what we're doing over in District 3. You can also see how we're seeing huge increases in our property values. So our residents are seeing it. Being a homeowner in the city of Detroit now has huge privileges. When I purchased my home for $30,000, I'm now able to sell it or even take the equity out based on a value of $100,000. That's over a 300% increase in our property values. When you look at our corridors, look at Conant. We've seen a huge increase. That's a $10 million streetscape improvement. You see a 0% level of vacancy along the Conant corridor. You see huge foot traffic. You also see a $5 million investment in Lasky Park, just across the street, where you now see cricket pitches, you see soccer at an all-time high. You actually have to get in a waiting list to get your child into soccer. You see the new investment in our rec centers. This is what is happening as a direct result of SNF 1, SNF 2, and just imagine what we're going to see from SNF 3.0. These are the type of investments that you're seeing. This is an improvement into the quality of life of our residents and into our homeowners. When I can pull $100,000 of equity out of my house, what does that mean? That means a new roof. That means the porch that was dilapidated is getting fixed. That means new windows, and then I can make my house energy efficient, reduce my bills. It changes my quality of life and the trajectory of my family as well, and that's huge. And so being here, being a part of this is fantastic. I really want to thank our new partners who are coming in. We've got a lot of great upside. I'm talking to the finances now. I'm talking to those who provide grants. In the 3rd District, we just had a brand new charrette over in our East Davidson Village area, 490 vacant lots, lots of upsides for single-family housing, including manufactured housing. So hopefully we're going to see that type of investment coming back into the city of Detroit and specifically into the 3rd District. I appreciate everybody, all of your investment here, especially those who got into the pool first, who the mayor had to convince, and good job, Mayor, to say this is going to work. We're going to see these type of results. Come on in and invest in the city of Detroit. And so now we're seeing that residency in the city of Detroit has its privileges. Thank you.
Thank you for those remarks. Next up, I'm going to bring up our president and CEO of Invest Detroit, Dave Blaskowitz. But as you come up, Dave, I want to make, I'm going to take the liberty as the MC to make a few comments. One, I'd love for the Invest Detroit staff to please stand if you're here in the room, as those folks who are behind the scenes who have been critical in helping our organization. Mike Smith, Naomi Smith, Carrie LaJuan Monroe, thank you for your leadership. Jen Hayes and everyone else, Danielle, and Derek, our small business team, and Eric Thomas for helping to pull this event together. Thank you all so much for everything that you contribute, and as you help us revitalize Detroit neighborhoods. Bringing up Dave Blaskowitz.
Unlike our public officials, I need paper to keep me grounded. So I'm not going to hopefully miss any key pieces. So you guys will have to suffer through for the next few minutes. And Councilman Benson, by the way, has already scheduled a tour for us to review the charrette, and so I'm looking forward to the drive. Let me start by saying a very sincere thank you to all of our partners, obviously starting with Mayor Duggan. But we've got the philanthropic community and the corporate community, as referenced, that have all been part of building this amazing journey that we've been on. The SNF is a powerful public-private partnership, and we continue to leverage each other's strengths to bring a variety of different things to these programs that wouldn't happen with us individually. So this collaboration between government, corporate, philanthropic sectors is truly groundbreaking. I would challenge folks to take a look around and look for this kind of thing. I think this is a unique thing to the relationships in Detroit, and it really speaks to the partnerships here. But one of the things I want to emphasize is the fact that the power of this program is really built in the community. And it's the community that has built these plans. It is the community that is directing our investments to advance their own communities. So this has been the case, by the way, in all 10 of our neighborhoods. Each and every one of them has a plan that has been orchestrated. Jermaine referenced all of the meetings that have taken place, throughput metrics. What matters is what actually gets invested in those communities and how the community feels about those investments. So let me just highlight a couple of things that are important to this program. And the mayor, as he always so eloquently does, covers them in a sentence. I've got to cover them in about 14 paragraphs, so bear with me. First is multifamily and affordable housing and inclusive development as part of that as the concept. SNF is committed to ensuring that development in Detroit remains inclusive and accessible for all. If you look at the development teams that are implementing this work, if you look at the contractors that are implementing this work, it is Detroit-based largely. In fact, we are trying desperately to continue to find those links to the neighborhoods in which we're operating. We've got some great slides on that too to demonstrate how deliberate that strategy has been. So we are continuing to push that forward. With regard to housing, mixed use, mixed income, and affordable housing projects, they're all funded through this initiative, and they're helping to combat displacement. I know that displacement is always an issue for us when we are sitting around the table making sure that we are adding to the neighborhood without negatively impacting the residents that are there. So what we're doing is we're giving choices to the neighborhood that may not have existed for decades. As the mayor pointed out, many of these communities haven't seen investment for decades, and this is truly changing lives at the local level. I'll talk just briefly about job creation and economic growth. SNF investments are driving job creation as well through the construction of new housing, commercial and retail spaces, the infrastructure improvements that we're making. Local businesses are benefiting from the foot traffic and construction activity, and is providing local job opportunities. Importantly, by creating attractive spaces in the area for businesses, we're giving opportunities for those businesses to thrive. We are boosting the local economy by creating local job opportunities. And importantly, again, business ownership within your own community becomes a great opportunity. Reactivation of these commercial spaces are often filled by local entrepreneurs, a really important part of the concept. I'll also mention that $140 million has been invested in both the commercial space and housing. It has created 78,000 square feet of new retail opportunities in neighborhoods and 378 new residential units in these neighborhoods. So impressive stuff, I think. I'm more than halfway done now, by the way, so we're making good progress. Investments through SNF are not just about the buildings. They're also about creating and enhancing the quality of life for residents in their communities. We've had a real focus on improving parks and public spaces, landscaping, rebuilding streetscapes, and investing in neighborhood infrastructure. These projects foster a sense of belonging and community pride for residents who retain their commitment to their neighborhoods. $27.3 million has gone into parks. And a lot of that money has come from philanthropy. And it's a great opportunity to reinvigorate parks within community. 7 of those parks have been completed. There are 4 more in the works as we speak. Absolutely impressive. And a very special and sincere thank you to the mayor for the streetscape investment. $83 million has gone into 12 different streetscapes across these neighborhoods. Incredibly impressive as well. And I'll just, start to wrap up by saying that the goal of the program is really about creating a sustainable Detroit. It's about creating a vibrancy in these neighborhoods that lives on beyond these initial investments. So we've been working on long-term investments to create these thriving neighborhoods. The strategic neighborhood investments in these neighborhoods has helped to create a sustainable urban landscape and ensures that Detroit continues to retain its current residents, attract future residents, businesses, and investment, all while supporting the preservation of existing community culture. And that is the starting point for all of these discussions. Now, I know we've covered a lot of the numbers. I'm going to do them again because they're in my talking points. So you guys are going to have to sit through them because I really do think that this is the crux of what we're talking about. It's not about how many meetings we've had or how great everybody is feeling about the engagement. It's about what we're actually producing at the neighborhood level. Those philanthropic dollars that were raised, as Jermaine pointed out, contributed, greatly to the neighborhoods. But it's the leverage that brings in the real value. $262 million going into 10 neighborhoods. That, in and of itself, is significant. What it's done, though, is it's also raised the value of those properties for residents, for landlords, for business owners by $195 million. That's value creation that is outside of just those direct dollars going in. And then I think it's important to really recognize what is the benefit to the existing residents and new residents moving into these neighborhoods. We have population increases in 6 out of 10 neighborhoods that we've been investing in. And I'm going to tell you, I'll go out on the limb and say there are more coming. As we continue to double down on these investments, as we extend our relationship with these neighborhoods, we're going to see more and more of those go up. But we've seen incomes increase, poverty rates go down, and residential vacancy rates go down in all 10 neighborhoods. Absolutely important as far as outcomes. So I know I'm completely biased, but I'm going to say it's working. It is working, and we're going to continue to do even more. That's what today is really about. It's about making the commitment to these neighborhoods, doubling down, expanding geographies, and really staying focused on these neighborhoods for another 5 years. It's an additional 5-year commitment. As referenced by the mayor, we've got a $40 million objective. We've raised $23.5 million already. $2 million of that is coming from Invest Detroit. I'm thrilled to say we could be an active participant in this round as well. But really excited about closing this one out and keeping the good work going. So my apologies for such a long one. I appreciate everybody's patience, and I'll turn it back over to Jermaine. Thanks.
All right, we're going to move along. We know the mayor has graciously given us his time today, and so we want to make sure that we honor that. I know you have other obligations as well. So we're going to move on to just one thing as the MC, one liberty, just please, Eric, forgive me. But I think it's important that we recognize this is a public-private partnership. And there are a lot of public servants who I had the pleasure and the honor of serving with when I was at the city of Detroit, who have played a critical role in ensuring that SNF was community-focused, ensuring that SNF had the support and the technical assistance that was needed and necessary for the developers and for the small business owners that we have been working with, and those who were there in the early days when it was challenging and going through all of the community meetings. And so there's just a couple of people that I just want to make sure that I acknowledge, one being Arthur Jemison. Arthur Jemison, thank you for your work. I'd like to acknowledge Donald Rencher, Antoine Bryant, Kevin Johnson, and also we also have, we're lucky enough to have one of our members of the Detroit Legislative Caucus, Rep. Helena Scott. Thank you for your support and for being here today. And with that, we are honored to have Laura Granneman here with us today. When we started talking about the Strategic Neighborhood Fund and what would be the next iteration and the next phase of the work that we were planning to do, we had a great partner who was already active and doing so much throughout the city of Detroit. And for Laura to have that trust in us that we can be a great partner and help ensure the future of these Detroit neighborhoods, we thank you for honoring that, Laura Granneman.
Good afternoon. I'm very honored to be here today. As Jermaine mentioned, my name is Laura Graneman. I'm the Executive Director of the Gilbert Family Foundation, and we are pleased to be the lead funder for SNF 3.0 with a $15 million commitment. Many of you know I'm actually fresh off a trip. I just got married, so I just came back from my honeymoon. Literally yesterday, and it is, I think, 9:30 at night in my mind, so if I say anything crazy, please forgive me. But I have had the privilege to visit a lot of great cities across the United States and around the world. And I think one thing that stands out to me, I'm especially kind of reflective on this right now, is that great cities build on areas of strength. And I think that's what SNF does so well. It builds on the many areas of strength that we have as a community, both geographically, of course, in selecting the neighborhoods across the city of Detroit. We're building on areas of strength, we're building on strong commercial corridors, but also just in terms of the community that we're investing in, because Detroit has one of the strongest community vibes and connections that I've seen in my travels around the country. So building on areas of strength, I think, is something that's so important, and part of the reason that we were proud to make this investment. Gilbert Family Foundation's goal is to build and help support an inclusive and thriving community in the city of Detroit. We, a few years ago, about 3 years ago, we made a significant $500 million commitment over 10 years to investing in our communities across the city. And we started with a focus on displacement prevention. Dave spoke a little bit about this earlier. Displacement prevention through property tax foreclosure prevention and eviction prevention. Those have been really important sort of cornerstones or pillars to our strategy. But I think with this investment into the Strategic Neighborhood Fund, we now are taking that to the next level. It's not just about displacement prevention, it's not just about keeping people in their homes, it's about ensuring that the growth of the city of Detroit is inclusive for everyone, and that Detroit residents not only can stay in their homes, but that they want to stay in their homes. It is investments like Strategic Neighborhood Funds, investments in arts and culture and public space, inclusive retail, entrepreneurship opportunities, and job access that I think makes this work so powerful. And we have seen, I spoke earlier about some of the great things that I've seen in other cities around the United States, but also one of the pitfalls has been that so many other cities are invested in development, but it may come at the cost of residents or displacement. And so we're just incredibly proud to be able to be a part of this partnership, and we know we are building on the strength of so many partners who have come before us. Of course, to the mayor's office, to Mr. Mayor, very grateful for your leadership and support in making this happen. And to the many funders who have supported this work ahead of us, we're proud to continue to carry on that legacy. Thank you so much.
All right. And I don't know how I forgot Rico Razzo, so we say Rico Razzo. Thank you. I want to bring up now Eric Famdo from the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation to talk about their donation and the partnership we look to have with you moving forward. Come on.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Famno. I'm a program officer at the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation. I'm not a born and raised Detroiter, but I am a proud resident of Detroit, of the North End neighborhood for the last 4 years. I'm not sure if that's East Side or West Side, but I'm open to anyone telling me otherwise. Okay, I live like a half block east of Woodward, so maybe that counts. But for that reason, this work is deeply personal for me, but also at the foundation. I'm proud on behalf of the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation to celebrate the accomplishments propelled by the Strategic Neighborhood Fund and reaffirm our commitment today. For those of you who are not familiar, the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation is a Detroit-based grant-making organization dedicated to improving the quality of life for people of Southeast Michigan and Western New York. These two regions represent the communities near and dear to our founder's heart. Western New York, which is home to his beloved Buffalo Bills football franchise, which he founded in 1959 until his passing in 2014. And also here in Southeast Michigan, where Mr. Wilson called home and worked as an entrepreneur himself, owning more than 11 businesses across different industries. In addition to investing in our region's parks and trails, providing supports for caregivers of older adults, and programs that prepare children and young adults for success, the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation is also focused on catalyzing inclusive economic growth in the communities that we serve. The Strategic Neighborhood Fund is a critical driver of that work here in Detroit. Where each one of us calls home, like I said, is deeply personal and meaningful. When our grant-making team goes out into community, what we hear again and again are the reasons why many residents choose to move somewhere or stay in the neighborhoods that they live in. It is all about quality of life. And that's why SNF has become a model and inspiration for many others, because its focus first is on people, the residents who live and choose to call these neighborhoods home. As Caitlin Murphy, the executive director of Live 6, which is a neighborhood in Northwest Detroit, she shared with our team that their work depends on the continual engagement of residents, so that they are always part of the direction and driving the direction of development. We know that neighborhoods and communities should never be stagnant, so it can't be a one and done engagement, but instead continuously working that muscle of community engagement. It is the agency and autonomy of residents that should drive the direction of what they want to see in their neighborhoods, what they want it to look like, and that goal is at the center of Strategic Neighborhood Fund, moving neighborhoods to a place where they can grow and prosper. When our foundation recently co-hosted a gathering of economic development leaders from Buffalo and Western New York here in Detroit this summer, they were really impressed by the level of community engagement built into SNF. But not only that, they were also really deeply impressed with the level of collaboration that has happened across the public, private, and philanthropic sectors for this initiative. This level of partnership is not seen in many other places, and so definitely is worth celebrating here today. Having the leadership of Mayor Duggan and his administration paired with the skilled team at Invest Detroit as the backbone intermediary coordinating this effort across multiple levels of community partners, developers, and funders are all key ingredients to what is driving the success and transformation of neighborhoods in the city. We know that economic prosperity doesn't happen overnight, and that is why the foundation is proud to stand today with our fellow partners and funders, including the Gilbert Family Foundation. The Wilson Foundation is proud to contribute an additional $5 million towards continuing the momentum of the Strategic Neighborhood Fund. But now is not the time to take the pedal off the gas. We look forward to many others joining us in our support to continue the momentum of the work that is giving Detroiters neighborhoods that they are proud to call home, entrepreneurs, a place where they can turn their dreams into reality, and where all residents can participate and benefit from Detroit's economic growth. Thank you.
Now, we've talked a lot today about our partners. Some of our most key partners, a lot of them are kind of seated here to my left, who are developers and small business owners, community leaders, CDO leaders who are on the ground every day in the neighborhoods that we are supporting. These are the folks who are the heartbeat of the neighborhoods, who are tapped in and allow for us, in partnership with them, to support the work and the ideas that are being generated on the grassroots level. So I'm going to bring up Eddie Carrington, but I want to say thank you to those who have agreed to be a part of our afternoon panels, and we're going to talk a lot more about the work that you all have been doing and how grateful we are to be in partnership with you as the Strategic Neighborhood Fund and Invest Detroit. But Eddie Carrington, the mayor of Flux City Development.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Eddie Carrington, founder, lead developer, and self-proclaimed mayor of Flux City. And I am proud to talk about the positive impact the Strategic Neighborhood Fund has had on my success in taking on larger real estate projects and its overall support for emerging developers such as myself. For those who don't know me, I started rehabbing single-family homes in and around Detroit back in 2008. And over time, I developed an appetite for larger projects and recently had a chance to develop my first commercial project over in East English Village. In February 2020, Invest Detroit, as part of the SNF initiative, sought developers to rehabilitate the old Charter One Bank at 16530 East Warren Avenue. The focus was on diverse developers working transparently with the community. And so I submitted our proposal and presented our vision to representatives from the Morningside, East English Village, and Cornerstone communities. When I say representatives, I'm talking neighbors, block club leaders, association leaders, things of that nature. So true community. When the ribbon was chosen as the top project, it felt like a dream come to life, a testament to what an inspired developer can achieve with the right support. The ribbon is a 3-story mixed-use building with a yoga studio and restaurant space on the ground level and 18 affordable residential apartments above. All 18 apartments are reserved for renters within the 80% AMI range or below, and construction is set to be completed by the end of this month. So now here's the reality. The ribbon would not have happened without the support of the Strategic Neighborhood Fund. The total investment for my project is at about $8.2 million, with SNF funding playing a crucial role in making this project possible. Gap funding was needed to get this project to the closing table, since most commercial projects within the neighborhoods aren't financially feasible without some type of additional financial support. The funding was not just an investment in a building, it was an investment in a community and in an emerging developer such as myself. SNF provided us with the financial foundation to take on this project, especially during the challenges of the pandemic. And without this support, projects like the ribbon simply would not be a reality. But SNF's support wasn't just financial. It came with a team of partners, including funding partners like Invest Detroit, LISC, partners like DEGC, city representation like the mayor of Detroit, Mayor Duggan, like council members, shout out to Councilwoman Johnson of District 4, East Warren Development Corporation, and more. All of these partners were committed to the project's success, and their invaluable guidance and patience were essential in helping me make a true impact within the community, especially as a developer who has never developed a commercial project up until this point. By supporting minority and emerging developers, SNF opens doors for developers connected to the neighborhoods they serve. It empowers us to create a true impact that aligns with the needs of the residents. The ribbon isn't just another construction project, it's a testament to what's possible when community-driven development meets strategic investment. SNF funding helped transform a vacant building into a vibrant mixed-use space, bringing new retail options and enhancing the daily lives of the residents based off of their requests. Specifically, we're adding a movement studio on the ground level, one of the requests from the community, and we also have restaurant space allocated for a food service, another demand from the community that we're looking and actively filling per their asks. Today we celebrate the launch of SNF 3.0, and it is clear how vital the program is for Detroit's future. The ribbon shows what SNF 3.0 can achieve. This new wave of funding will spread improvement projects throughout the city. It will continue to provide emerging developers like myself with the resources to bring the visions of the communities we build within to life. So to the partners, stakeholders, and funders of SNF, I extend my deepest gratitude. Your belief in projects like mine and your commitment to Detroit's neighborhoods create pathways for lasting change. And to my fellow developers, especially those just starting out, I say, with programs like SNF, we have the opportunity to truly rebuild a Detroit that serves everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That concludes this portion of our event. If you have the opportunity, please stick around. We have a panel for the community development organizations that we've partnered with, as well as developers and small business owners who we have had the honor of working with as well under the Strategic Neighborhood Fund. So please stick around, but we're going to take a break and get some things set up. Thank you all.